So international regulators are cracking down on crypto. I mentioned this just a few minutes ago. The Thai SEC is banning meme, fan, and exchange tokens and NFTs, while in Italy, regulators are concerned about the unsupervised spread of crypto. So for me, this is just a case, again, of regulators trying to understand what's going on and maybe not really understanding and wanting to take time to figure out what's happening in the crypto industry. Adam, I'm going to kick it right off to you to get us started. What did you think when you read these stories this morning?
So I think that there's an important differentiation here between something like Bitcoin and something like, say a meme token like the Shiba Inu coin, just off the top of my head, that was created by a person who holds most of the tokens, where there's, again, so the Thai move specifically, I think that all the types of tokens that they have a problem with are the types of tokens that have the potential to really make just incredible moves, even in cryptocurrency or Bitcoin terms, relative to what we've typically seen. And this is not against a backdrop of like a typical market environment. This is against a backdrop of extraordinary experimental monetary policy that's happening all over the world, not least of which in the United States. So I think that in a world where everyone is just gambling in these markets, they're trying to find the places that are most likely to blow up and try to steer people out of those because of the collateral damage it could cause within their own economies. That actually seems like a decent move from a regulatory standpoint if your goal is to try and prevent these types of blowups. Now, there's a big question about what really classifies something as a token that is like that. How is it different from Bitcoin? I don't have an answer for you on that. But I think that so long as we have these kind of nuanced approaches where you're saying, all right, well, it's this specific type of thing, and you're not banning it because it, again, threatens potentially your monetary authority, but you're banning it because these tokens have been shown over and over and over again to blow up and many times be scams, then that's a little bit more reasonable. So it's not a Bitcoin maximalist position, but it's a regulatory leeway position. I think that there is room for them to actually govern their own economies in this way.
Sounds like a meme coin minimalist position.
Yeah, there you go.
Do we have to ban, if a coin has a Labrador mascot, is that okay? What about like a pug? What do you think?
It all comes down to dog breeds, yeah.
They defined the meme tokens as having no clear objective or substance or no support with the price, depending on the trend in the social world. So to me, that's also a little unclear and can be applied to many different things. I guess we'll see how it takes place. But that's the Thai SEC. Ben, did I see your hand go up there before we move on over to Italy?
Zach, toss this one to you.
I was just saying that could apply quite widely to meme stocks. I mean, that's the interesting thing, right? I mean, we had front row seat to the meaninglessness of tokens, and now the meaninglessness of other securities has made itself painfully clear. And again, this is just, I feel for them. Financial regulators bringing a gun to a knife fight in this era of internet communications, not going to end well.
Yeah.
They
this is
at
like
least
a
need
shotgun
a
to a
pretense.
butter knife fight. Like it just, particularly in regards to like the Thai example, I think what frustrates me in this regard is when you see just sort of like a blanket ban on so many different things, I think that really shows a reactiveness that is not necessarily conducive to regulation. And I think that, by lumping in like meme tokens and NFTs and all these other things together, it belies like not looking at any of these things too closely. Because I think, that's the issue, right? Like, I'm kind of with Adam on this. Like, for specific things, taking a targeted approach, I think that's totally fine. I think it belies the fact that they're really unclear about what any of this is by doing a blanket sort of ban. So we'll see what happens in the next 30 days. I'm curious about how the industry might push back on this, because you can bet there's going to be some form of pushback. But I think, it says more about the regulators than the tokens themselves, even if I am not, a fan of some of these tokens for sure.
It speaks to the impossibleness of the task, I think, that the regulators have. And again, it's not because of crypto. Echoing what Zach said, like this is not about the type of formats. This is happening with stocks as well. The thing that's different about stocks is that, and I think what we heard in that in the statement from the regulator there, is that there needs to be at least some sort of plausible pretense by which you can make an argument that this is a thing that should have value. Now, that's in contrast to how stocks used to behave, where it was all about how much money do you make? What is your growth trajectory? How large, of the kind of sector that you're in do you occupy? Traditional metrics by which you could really figure out what a fair valuation is. In a post-COVID world, and this was true before COVID, but certainly accelerated by it, that's not true. You really can't look at these stocks and use those fundamentals to determine any sort of fair value, because if you were to do that, we're far above it. So again, it speaks to the kind of the Thai regulator can't come in and say, we're not going to allow any stocks that don't trade based on their like fair market valuations, whatever those may be. And so it just kind of creates a problem where this is an area where they can go after it, and they can at least try and look like they're addressing some of the biggest excesses of this time. But make no mistake, it's about the time, not the excesses.